he got jacked up. What's up, ladies and gentlemen? The end of the NFL season is upon us. We got a big show for you today. Requiem for a Tuesday. Adam Pecora here, ready to go. You know what it is. I did this like 6 times last year, and I thought, you know what? Maybe that's a little too much. And also, the Chicago Bears season was so tumultuous and sad and depressing that I kind of just couldn't. I mean, you know, you go back through the list of episodes here. I mean, what is it, like 6 out of the last 8 or something or whatever? There were like 6 out of 8 at one point, where it was just me crying and screaming and losing it and whatever. So anyway, I'm on edibles. Hunter Millie, here we go. Whoops. Off to a good start. I am going to recap. So all season long, if you haven't been tuning in, I did the preseason version of this show also on edibles, and I gave out all my picks for every game this season. And I kept track of that every week. Did not adjust any picks based on what was happening in the league. What's the test? Do I know ball? And I kind of know ball, actually. So we'll get into that. Which, you know, am I surprised? I guess not really. But I'm not really a horn tooter. So, didn't toot the horn. But I am now. So, whatever. What a season. Per usual. Always crazy. Now, I would say that this is one of the more boring seasons we have had, and I don't think that's... I think the standings kind of reflect that, where there's like 4 good teams. There's literally like 15 dog shit teams, the Bears included, don't get me wrong. I mean, if you lost 4 games, you have like the 8th pick in the draft. It's like an unheard of lopsided situation. And like weirdly, like the Chiefs weren't good, at least offensively. Obviously, defensively, you can't be bad at both and win 15 games. But shit was just weird. I don't know. I feel like plays weren't as explosive. Like, of course, there was still amazing stuff. There were still spectacular catches every week. Maybe I was just so downtrodden that, you know, I just couldn't appreciate anything. That's certainly a factor. I mean, Lamar was beautiful. Josh was beautiful. Saquon, you know, I'm not trying to poo-poo anything. It was just an odd year. I actually do have some poo-pooings to issue later on in the program, but I will get there. First of all, rate, review, and subscribe. First of all, I'm 15 minutes into the show. Rate, review, and subscribe to Requiem for a Tuesday wherever you get your podcasts. I'm there yelling. So subscribe, share, get the word out. Hey, do you know some idiot that likes football? That's cool. Does he like to chuckle? Is he a little giggler? Send him it over. Okay? See what he thinks. Or she. Have any women ever heard this? Probably not. Anyway, looking at my papers here, which I don't need to be reading right now. It doesn't pertain to anything that's going on. So, check out all the links in the description below. They take you to a lot of stuff. We got merch. I have an Instagram. There's all the links to all the places for the podcast. There's music. There's goodies. Just lots of goodies. Check it all out. Check the bio. Share the episode. Subscribe. Thank you very much. Review? Okay. So, I guess the plan is I'm just going to run through the week's win-loss total it up, and then I want to compare my playoffs and division standings to what is actually happening, and then that'll be that. I'll give some thoughts on the various teams overall, and then we will do real playoff predictions for the actual games, and keep track of that as well. but those will obviously have to be updated every week anyway. So without further ado, I did kind of do this, the weekly recaps every week. Kind of got a little tired of it, to be honest with you. So some of those were cut down in time, if not from entire episodes. So here we go. Week 1, off to a great start. 11-5, week 1. The easiest week to predict, in the preseason at least. Week 2, 8-8. Week 3, 8-8. Keeping it positive. Only 2 seasons under 500. Everything else 500 or better. So that's great. So after week 3, we go from 8-8 to 9-7 in week 4 to 8-6 in week 5. Keeping it at 8-6 in week 6. Got to remember bye weeks, folks. To 9-6 in week 7. Then week 8. I remember this week. I did this one on the show. Tough week. 3-13. By far the worst performance. A complete outlier, though, because your boy knows ball once again. We rebound heavy with a 10-5 week 9. This would all be technically money line also. It's not like I predicted the spreads for each one, but still. Where was I? 10-5 week 9, 8-6 week 10, 7-7 week 11. Look at that. That's got to be some kind of omen. Nothing like a rhyme. 7-6 in week 12, 12-4 in week 13. Thank you very much. Brush your shoulders off there. 9-4 in week 14, 11-5, 3 weeks in a row, 15, 16, 17, and an abysmal 6-10 to close out the year. But, you know, nobody plays their starters. Everything gets shifted around. It all depends on who's where in the standings. No way I could have seen it coming. No way. So on the season, that brings us to a grand total of 156 wins to 116 losses. 57 win percentage, folks. I mean, come on. Listen, if I would have taken like real, I don't have any money, so this isn't a real thing that could happen. But realistically, had I placed a future bet, money line, exactly as I predicted it, I'd be up huge. You know? Although you got to imagine a lot of those were favorites, so maybe that's not the case. I guess I didn't factor any thought into that statement at all. So, now let's do the fun part, though, where I compare what my final standings are versus reality, folks. This is going to be horrific. I didn't even really preview this. So let's see here. Oh, man, this has a really fucked up ranking. What is this? No, this is not. It's just a weird order. Okay, we're good. So I will begin with the AFC West. This is what I had, not what is actually true, of course. This one's not too bad. 12-5 Kansas City. They obviously went 15-2. I had 10-7 for the Chargers. They went 11-6. What do we got? 7-10 for the Broncos, who went 10-7, and 7-10 for the Raiders, who only won 4 games. So whatever. Not the best. The AFC East. I had the Bills at 11-6. They went 13-4. I had the Jets at 10-6. Or I'm sorry, 10-7. That's odd. Anyway, 10-7. And they went 5-12. I had the Dolphins at 9-8, who went 8-9, and the Patriots at 3-14. They actually won one more game. More on the Patriots later, by the way. Next, we move to the AFC South. Horrendous division, the worst division in football. Had the Texans at 11-6. They went 10-7. Not bad. Gave the Jags 7 wins. I don't even know how I let it go that far, just because people were talking them up so much. Had the Colts also with 7 wins, so that one was pretty close. Gave Tennessee 5-12, so, nothing egregious really in the AFC so far outside of the Jets, which, what can you do there? Yeah. And then the North. This one is also pretty bad. Pretty bad. There we go. 11-6 to the Ravens. That one's close. They went 12-5. 11-6 to the Bengals. 9-8 missed the playoffs. Tragic. That week 1 loss to New England, which, again, we'll be talking about in a minute here. I had the Browns go 9-8. They won 3 games. They are the worst team in the league. And the Steelers 8-9. They won 10. Whatever. So I guess this isn't that bad. The NFC is where this is where the Bears stuff really looks bad. Okay. We will start in the East yet again. I remember being like, I can't believe I gave the Eagles so many wins. That had to be a mistake. And I was wrong. I didn't give them enough wins. I said 13-4. They went 14-3. Cowboys 12-5. The Commanders actually went 12-5. The Cowboys went 7-10. I had the Commanders at 5-12. Not good. That obviously went the other way. And the Giants won 3 games. I gave them 4. My bad. They're the worst team in the league. Let's be honest. It's tough. The Lions did not give enough credit. Only said 11-6. This division I just blew. I just blew it. Mostly because of the Bears, but also because of the Vikings. 11-6. They went 15-2. I had the Packers at 10-7. They went 11-6. The Bears I had at 10-7. They were once 4-2, seconds away from 5-2, and they finished 5-12. And the Vikings 6-11. They went 14-3, nearly became the 1 seed in the conference. So clearly have the blinders on for my own division, which is also it also is like, well, how do I not know that these teams that well? I mean, I guess I just thought the Lions, like, how could they improve again? I thought that they would just kind of be like the same team again, but they really are they're getting better, which is great. I'm rooting for them. I hope the Lions win the Super Bowl. Who else is there to root for? Lamar or Josh? But the Lions? I mean, come on. They've never done anything. So that was bad. The West also, this is going to be ugly. I had the 49ers at 11-6, who went 6-11. Had the Rams at 9-8. They went 10-7. Had the Seahawks at 9-8. They went 10-7. Had the Cardinals at 6-10. They went 8-9. So, just got that order all fucked up. 49ers need to blow it up. I thought this last year, but I mean, obviously they succeeded. So what do I know, I guess? But you can't have your 5 best players all be yearly injury risk. Like every year, you're just worried and hopeful that they'll make it through the season. I mean, it's just not, it literally can't be sustainable. And I mean, Debo, maybe he was just hurt again, but it looked like he fell off a cliff. I mean, hard to say with all the injuries, though. Like, if Ayuk's out there, does that open everything up for everybody else and change everything? McCaffrey's out there, So I don't know. But, I mean, I would trade 2 to 3 of those players. Like, you just have to try something else. But what do I know? But, I mean, it is like, how many times are you going to try to run this same squad back with the same scheme and everything? And sure, then, outside of 2 really bad injury seasons, they still end up making the playoffs. But I don't know. How long are you going to be a threat for before that expires? I would make the move now. But, well, again, what do I know? I'm just a 57% winner. I'm a winner. And lastly, the NFC West. This one I did not that great, I guess. None of these were real home runs. I got the order wrong even. So Bucks 9-8, they go 10-7. Falcons 8-9, nailed that one. That's as the Falcons are 8-9 or 9-8 every season. Yeah, the Kirk Cousins thing. I mean, it was baffling at the time. At least the Penix pick. I mean, why not just spend that money on whatever else you're missing and draft Penix and just go for it? Just super confusing. Again, passed on Bill Belichick. Everything about it just awful. I would feel terrible if I'm a Falcons fan. And that's how I'm about to feel as a Bears fan, which I'll get into in a second. So because of the standings that I had that you just heard, Saints 7-10, Panthers 3-14. They actually both went 5-12. So way off in the playoffs. That's good. Wow. Somebody write that down. Way off in the playoffs. So I had Bengals over Texans. The Bengals did not make it. Had the Chiefs over the Jets. The Jets did not make it. The Bills over the Chargers. At least both of those teams made it. Not what the seeding will be at all. The Chargers are actually playing the Texans. And the Bills will be playing the Broncos, who I did not have in it. And obviously the Chiefs have a bye, so just way off on that entire game. NFC, I had the Bears beating the Lions. Neither team will be playing for opposite reasons. I had the 49ers beating the Packers. The Packers will be playing the Eagles as the 2 versus the 7, not the 3 versus the 6. And I had Bucks Cowboys. And the Bucks will be playing the Commanders. That would have been the 4-5. In my thing, it's the 3-6. I then had Bills over Chiefs, Ravens over Bengals, who obviously, again, didn't make it. 49ers over Bucks, and then Eagles over Bears. Good. Glad I didn't go too crazy there. Just had them making the divisional round. Okay, so the AFC Championship game could happen. Well, maybe it can't because of the bracketing, technically. I don't even really know what would happen. But let's say we can have a Bills-Ravens AFC title game. That's what I would have. But I think that they would play each other in the second round if they both win, which they probably will both win. So that can't happen. And then Eagles, 49ers. The 49ers, again, will not be there. And I picked the 49ers to win. So my Super Bowl would be Ravens, 49ers, and I believe I picked the Ravens to win. So maybe that could happen. But I don't think so. So let's go through the games that are actually happening in the playoffs now that we've gone through my hypotheticals. I did okay in terms of at least one of the teams I picked actually could make it all the way. Got some of the playoff teams right. Missed out Bengals, Jets, the Broncos really fucked me up there. Well, and the Jets. I mean, I picked the Jets, and the Steelers actually made it. And then, Bears, Cowboys, Niners, just a disaster. Nothing close. What can we do there? Commanders out of nowhere. Vikings, huge mistake. I mean, didn't even have the Rams either. Just got it all fucked up. So, who do we got? Saturday at 3:30, we got Chargers, Texans. Listen, the Texans have gone completely backward. I mean, C.J. Stroud still looks good. He tried to big bro Caleb Williams. You could argue Caleb Williams had a better season statistically, at the very least. Minus the sack thing. I mean, you're never gonna. I'm never gonna win that argument. 4 sacks a game, literally, it's the exact average. It somehow feels like more. Like I wish he only got sacked literally just 4 times every game instead of having 9 and 7, 8 sack games. But well, what can you do? What can you do? What's done is done. He survived, which is that's what's important. CJ Stroud's, he's got nothing left. It's Nico Collins. Dalton Schultz is good, but I feel like Harbaugh's just going to put his guys. They're going to get a lot of pressure. That line can't block. Tickets are $74 for a fucking playoff game. Unbelievable. Unbelievable how other cities have it. What? Support your fucking team. Jesus. You know how much Eagles tickets are? $164. Anyway. I just think the Chargers win easy. I think the only way the Texans come away with a win here is if they somehow get like a bunch of takeaways. But I mean, Herbert's thrown 3 picks. I don't know how many fumbles they've had, but I bet they've turned it over like 7 times all year. Home field advantage, maybe, but tickets are $74, so I don't know. The Chargers don't have any fans, so they won't travel. I got the Chargers easy in this one. I think they win by 10, 13, 14. Is that controversial? Probably, because it's probably a mistake. It is probably a mistake. So let's see. I'm gonna I'm gonna keep track of these too, so that I can revisit this. We're all about accountability here this year. I don't know why. I feel the need to do this. Pittsburgh, Baltimore, same thing. I mean, Baltimore, easy. Pittsburgh's offense is completely falling apart. I don't see how that just suddenly gets better, especially against a good defense. Yeah, Baltimore. It's just going to be Baltimore. Buffalo, Denver, same thing. I mean, I just can't take Denver seriously. I just can't. Now, they win this game, they will be taken seriously going into next year and the rest of this year. I just don't see how Buffalo could lose outside of, knock on wood, some kind of injury or something. Yeah, I just don't see it. Philly, Green Bay, I got Philly. Assuming Jalen Hurts is playing, Green Bay could easily win. Christian Watson injury, not ideal at this time. Josh Jacobs is great, though. It sucks that we have to play them so much. It wouldn't surprise me if Green Bay pulls out a win in this game somehow, but I think Philly will show up. And I don't know. Is Green Bay's defense isn't this like elite unit? I just feel like they'll just bully them around and run for 200 yards. But we'll see. Same with this game. Tampa, Washington. Like the NFC games, I feel like could all go either way. Whereas, I mean, I guess the Chargers, Texans could easily go either way. But Baltimore and Denver, I feel like it would be shocking if they lost. I don't think any NFC game would shock me either way. I got Tampa over Washington pretty much just because I like them more. I don't even know if that's really a better thing. To me, Washington doesn't seem that good. They're just always able to make plays when it matters, but I don't think that they're that good of a team. Now, I'm heartbroken from the Hail Mary. It derailed the season. Who knows what would have happened? That's the thing. It's a sliding doors moment. There's literally no way to know what would have happened. I just think both seasons are way different either way. Not necessarily for the Commanders. I mean, maybe they win 2 less games. I mean, they would obviously lose 1 less. They would win 2 less games. Yes, including the Bears game. Anyway, I just don't see it. Terry McLaurin always is able to get open, it seems, somehow, and I don't really know how. I don't know how you don't just triple that guy. I don't know who else is a threat on that team. Brian Robinson is very good, and Jaden Daniels is very good. I don't think that we made a mistake yet. Too early. Obviously too early. But that team doesn't wow me. They were this like surprise team, and their offense was really good and fun and exciting, and then, people started to actually scout them and take them seriously, and they kept winning, but they didn't, it just doesn't pass the eye test, as a 57% picks guy. Rams, Minnesota. I'm taking the Rams just because I hate Minnesota, and I just think they're frauds. I get that they're 14-3. I don't know what else to tell you. They got blown out by the Lions, who have no defense on the last game of the year. And you can make whatever excuse you want. I just don't think that they're actually a good team. They beat the shit out of the Bears in Minnesota. I was there, unfortunately. But the other game, they weren't playing that well, and our defense was bad. Sam Darnold just wasn't playing that well, considering how bad our defense was and how much they scored. And obviously, it was like a miraculous thing where we get an onside kick. But we were still in position to beat them. I don't know. It's not like I've watched every game they've played. I just don't trust them. And it seems like a game Sean McVay would win. But, same thing where it's like if the Vikings came out and won 34-17, that also wouldn't surprise me. So we will see what happens. I'll revisit these picks, and then we'll make new picks that probably feature way different teams for the divisional round. I guess I'm just going to do some final thoughts on some things of the season. So, number one, my big thing is I'm so fucking sick of hearing about Drake May. This is on podcasts, on TV shows, on on the pregame shows, on anything, anywhere I'm looking, on, Instagram, anywhere I'm looking. There's all this praise. Drake May, you guys won't believe what he's doing. Oh, but you guys don't even get it. The offensive line is so bad and the coaching is so bad, and he's just doing all this on his own. And it's how is that not exactly the story for Caleb Williams? It's it's because you guys just aren't watching the games, or you're clearly just deciding what the narrative is, because it just doesn't make sense to have that thought about one guy and not the other. Gerard Mayo got fired at the end of the year. Our coach was so bad he got fired in the middle of the year, and the offensive coordinator was before that. Everything about it's a complete disaster. And I have no faith in the organization going forward. Until it says Ben Johnson or Mike Vrabel has been hired, I'm not getting any hopes up, because all the names that are coming up in the coaching interview thing so far are just what the fuck are you guys even doing? Why are you wasting your time interviewing some of these people? And they're just going to hire some lame duck fucking loser you've never heard of, and he's not going to inspire anybody, and his scheme is going to suck, and it's for some reason going to be a West Coast offense with a lot of screens that we're not going to be able to execute, and it's all just going to be the fucking same thing forever. So that's where I'm at right now, outside of good win in Green Bay, at least a positive way to end the season. Caleb needed that. His end of game, I'm going to get back to what I was saying with the Patriots in a second. His end of game traits, this is the other thing, yeah, he didn't get the wins. A lot of that was coaching mishap, defensive collapse, Hail Mary. He made game-winning drives. He's played like shit for 3 quarters 5 times. So I'm not trying to say he's been balling out the whole time and, we should have won 6 more games. That's not necessarily true. What I'm trying to say is, though, when it has mattered, everybody's trying to make it out to be garbage time. When it has mattered, he has brought the team back. I mean, should have beat Green Bay, could have beat Minnesota. Washington, like all of those were the Detroit game on Thanksgiving. That one where we needed a touchdown. So either way, like to win, we could have went to overtime and got like that's too many steps. He just drives us down the field and gets us into position. Like he locks in and just delivers balls. And he's erratic as hell at times, just launching things over people's heads. I don't know if it's a lot of the time he has to just be throwing it away. But he has not been great at deep balls all season. That never really got much better. There was some improvement because there was just nothing at first. But there's something to be said about like the difference is Jaden Daniels' teams would score and then the game they would win and then the game would end. And our games would not end and we would lose over and over and over again. But you can't blame him. You literally can't blame him for those things. You're putting your team in position to win. I mean, if your argument is like he should have scored a touchdown, it's like, well, there's not, sure. And so to say that, like, but Drake May, like, franchise QB, locked in. He didn't win any games except for when they played the broken Chicago Bears, which, can we even talk about that game seriously? Now, the Cardinals game was before this, but the Cardinals game and the Patriots game, the Bears completely gave up. I mean, they scored 3 points against the Patriots defense, who isn't good. They had 9 sacks. I added it up. The Patriots only had like 31, 32 something sacks on the year. I didn't include yesterday's game, so I don't even know what it is. But they had like 40% of the season sacks in this game. Like the Bears just completely tanked and ate shit. Okay? And Drake May did not play well in that game. Can we look at his stats? Pull up his stats. Okay? What do we got here? It says box score. Where are the players? Okay. Come on. Drake May, 16 of 25, 1 touchdown, 1 pick, 4 carries, 24 yards. Awesome. Caleb, 16 of 23 for 120. Also not inspiring at all and got sacked 9 times for 51 yards. But he ran it twice for 15 yards. You know what I mean? It's just like you take out... They were just running at his head. Just nobody blocked him. It was unbelievable. Anyway, so that's Drake May's only win. You know why? Because week 1, Cincinnati. Jacoby Brissett is still the starter. Drake May's not even in the game. New York Jets. 25-22 New England. Drake May goes 3 of 6 for 23 yards. 3 carries, 46 yards, and a touchdown. So he gave them 1 touchdown. Exited the game with injury. Jacoby Brissett plays the rest of the game. They win the game. So if you're arguing like because he started, he technically like gets the win, then I guess he won 2 games. And then they win against Buffalo, and he doesn't play. I mean, he goes 0 of 1 and takes a sack. So I guess, again, if he started, then he won 3 games. But he didn't win the Buffalo game, and he didn't win the Jets game. He won 1 game against the dog shit Chicago Bears. And also, it's like, oh, yeah, they just need better blocking and new coaching and better players all around. And it's like, yeah, that's like every team in the NFL that sucks. Like, how's that? That's going to just happen because you have Drake May. He didn't elevate anybody. He only beat the Bears in the lowest point of their season. So shut the fuck up about this guy who we played and he did not look that good. You know? I think it's that simple. Like, we're anointing him because we just like want the Patriots to have a quarterback again. Oh, Drake May, 2,200 yards, 15 touchdowns, 10 picks. Great. Awesome guy. Like, those are fine, solid stat. But, like, what in there leads you to believe that that's, like, we got something going here? You know? He played like Mitch Trubisky in 2018. Let's relax. I'm just bitter. I get it. He's the number one. Caleb's the number one pick, so he's just under more scrutiny all the time. But he obviously held the ball at times. You know, if 20 of the sacks were his fault, that makes sense. If 30 of them, that makes sense. But there were too many. I mean, the Bears are the kings of just snap the ball, let a guy through immediately. And it's like, even if you can get rid of it, nothing good's going to happen. You're still going to get hit. The fact that we had a guy throw for 3,500 yards, 20 touchdowns, only 6 interceptions. He ran for like 500 yards. I mean, this is the best player we've ever had. And I said that about Justin Fields too. That was true in talent. He did run for 1,000 yards as a quarterback. Like, that's not nothing. But I was wrong. I mean, he's not the best player we've ever had. I let the hype get to me there. And, you know, pretty easy to say that it's getting to me now. But if you have been a Chicago Bears fan, I mean, 3,500 yards and 20 touchdowns while taking 68 sacks, like, that shouldn't. He just keeps getting up and he just keeps fighting. Like, the kid is great. And they should spend $80 million on offensive linemen in the offseason. And draft some. And fuck the defense. Get a couple guys. Sure. Get whatever you can. Do something. Like, make an effort. But we should get the best anything possible. But I just have no faith right now. I mean, I think he's going to continue to maybe play as well as he can. And, you know, hopefully he only gets sacked 50 times next year. Like, this is what's realistically going to happen. As much as I don't want this to be true, and I want this to be, oh, finally we're turning a new leaf type thing, I think they're probably going to hire a candidate that nobody else was even interested in, which is usually the case. Certainly one that nobody expected them to seriously hire. They'll fire Ryan Poles at the end of the year because they'll have another bad year. They'll only try to get guys in the draft. They're not going to spend any free agent money on the offensive line, because they won't get into a bidding war, and they'll let some guy go over like $1.5 million. Which never makes any sense to me. Could have just kept Roquan for 2 more, like 4 more million maybe a year, which is kind of a lot, but he's so much better. We all loved him too. Nobody likes Tremaine Edmonds. He is not good and is a liability, especially for that contract, which, you got a slight deal. Well, you know, this is why you got a deal. You got a worse thing. And that coach is going to be whatever. He'll maybe provide some kind of spark. Offensive or defensive guy, doesn't matter. If it is a defensive guy, they'll hire some coordinator who was unsuccessful in his last stop. Maybe we'll just retain Thomas Brown, which he did okay as an OC. The Bears went from scoring like 16 to 20. Whatever. Great. Whatever happens there, it won't be anything exciting. It won't be anything that changes how anything is done. Whoever gets brought in on the offensive line will either just get injured or straight up just like won't pan out. Caleb will still get sacked a ton. He'll maybe have slightly better protection, and, the little spark from the new coach will maybe get us like 8 wins at best, but they'll be ugly at times again. Hopefully not as ugly as this year, but probably. And it'll just be a whole nother year. Like, what if we took something seriously? And then Ryan Poles will get fired. And then, and then the cycle will just keep going, and then, Caleb will have won 25 games in 4 or in 5 seasons or something. You know what I mean? It's just he's won 36 games in 5 seasons. And we're just going to let him go. And, in 50, 60, 70, God willing years, I'll be dead. And we'll just keep doing it until then. So that's where I'm at. That's where I'm at again until it says Ben Johnson has accepted the job. And it's like the interview's scheduled. I don't know, will they announce that he's hired even though he's still going? If they go to the Super Bowl, do we have to wait to announce that he's hired? I don't remember, basically. Because if I can find out that who's getting the job, regardless of their coaching status, I'll check back in. But it's looking bleak. It's looking bleak because I assume Vrabel's going to go to New England now that Mayo's been fired, and that's it. I would only want one of those two. Anything else, we're just fucking around again. Pete Carroll would suck. He's old. I just don't care. He's too old. It's a bad idea. Now's not the time. If it was 5 years ago when he was available, yes, hire him. Not the guy who's 74 and had a year off. We're not doing Tony La Russa on the Bears. We can't do dumb shit like that. Okay? I don't want the coordinator of a team that didn't make the fucking playoffs. Oh, but the Miami Dolphins defense was good for one season statistically. So he should just be the head coach? Why are we interviewing him? The offensive coordinator of the Cardinals, they suck. Why? Because they kicked our ass? Who gives a fuck? What are we talking about? They're not going to make the playoffs. So why would their coordinator become a coach? What about you? But Ben Johnson is 15-2 and we have reservations? They should be interviewing 4 or 5 people. I don't give a fuck. This cast a wide net bullshit. That means you have no idea what you're looking for. You're just hoping a bunch of you go, oh, I really like that guy. He seems good. What is the expectation? How do you not know what you want? You need to know what you want, and then the people need to express that to you, and then you have conversations and ideas, and once you get on the same page, it's oh, this will work. Do we have a vision? They're just we just want to be wowed. That's always their thing. It's who can do the best pitch? Which, I guess I get, what is an interview, but I guess what I'm trying to say is, who can just have, the best PowerPoint? Who can wow me in a presentation? Who can do some fucking Wolf of Wall Street, sell me a pen type thing? Matt Eberflus has a fucking acronym. Oh, great. This guy's got an acronym. That's perfect. You know what I mean? That type of shit. And it's the thing is, if Ben Johnson doesn't pan out, that wouldn't be it would be a colossal disappointment and literally a failure, obviously. But I guess what I'm trying to say, and not a failure, just in that it was the right decision. Unlike Mark Trestman, unlike Matt Nagy, which, did kind of seem like the right choice at that time because of Mahomes and all that. But I don't remember who else was available because I'm pretty sure they passed up on some pretty good options. So that's my thing. Like, the fear is that you hire him and, he's a great, meant to be a coordinator, coaches too much, or it's too soon, or whatever. And, it just doesn't work out that way. That would be disheartening and sad and disappointing, but at least it wasn't like immediately, this is a fucking stupid idea, which is usually the case, Because I could also see the scenario where Vrabel comes in and it doesn't, I don't know. Maybe Caleb's development doesn't get the priority it needs to. I don't think that that's the case necessarily. But maybe he hires an OC that kind of sucks, and then we have to deal with, we're just running it 36 times a game to no avail. And whatever. I don't know. Like, maybe you know what I mean? They're boxing him in instead of building it around him or something, and that's the downside with Vrabel. I don't really know. But whatever. Point is, for whatever reason he comes here, it just doesn't have the same effect it did in Tennessee. Which it probably wouldn't, because basically everybody on our team just says that, like, every other player is fucking lazy and nobody works hard and nobody listens and the coaches don't make people do anything. And it's just like, what is going on over there? Like, it seems like a fucking disaster. They need somebody. Literally, everybody's just like, we need like a leader. It's like, that's just a head coach. Like, to say like you need your head coach to be a leader, you shouldn't need to say that. Your head coach should be a leader. If they're not a leader, they just shouldn't be your head coach. There's no head coaches that aren't leaders. No good ones, anyway. I mean, come on. So, yeah. I don't know. I'm nervous for them to blow it. I feel like they're going to blow it. I have no confidence in their ability to draft. They don't know how to scout. They're looking for all the wrong traits. They want guys who are like book smart, that have like they literally just have like athletic traits, even though they don't have like football ability. And we just keep drafting them because we're like, well, they're like smart gentleman guys with like crazy athleticism. And the plan is like, well, we're just going to coach the hell out of them. And the problem is all the coaches are really bad. And two, they would have been coached, like they've been coached well the whole time. You're just assuming that every football coach they've ever had hasn't been that good. And I get that the NFL ideally would have the best coaches at each position. But to just assume that you can completely elevate someone's ability in an off season just because you're an NFL team, they're just completely naive. And they want like the feel good story. They want the gem pick. They want like that was a savvy guy, smart. The guy from the school that nobody's heard of, that's also injured. But if both of those things weren't true, he'd be a first round pick. Like, we'll take all the guys that if ... weren't true, they would be a much higher pick. We'll take all those guys higher than they're actually projected every time. Austin Booker seems like he actually kind of will be pretty good. So that one I'll defend. But I mean, and like Braxton Jones, I think is a good. For a bad offensive line, he's a really good left tackle. He's like a below average. Like if he was on the Lions, he would be a backup, obviously. But he'd be the best backup in the league. Like that's basically Braxton Jones. He's like an average at best starter and 100% the best backup tackle in the league. Like no question. And that's a 5th round pick. And for him to last as a starter for 2 seasons at left tackle. Listen, if that's the one guy that stays on the offensive line, I mean, obviously Darnell Wright's going to stay because he was a first-round pick. I'm okay with that. But all three interior guys should be $15 million salary guys. Maybe not center. I think centers get paid less. Or maybe they get paid more. I don't fucking know. Hand out $50 million in free agent contracts. Draft a guy both in the second round. Whatever. One in the second, one in the third, maybe your first rounder, depending on who's there. Invest. Just do it. That's all I can say. No confidence, though. No confidence. I mean, that's the thing, though. It's just like, it's unbelievable how anybody can see that that's what they should do. If any real fan with any knowledge of what this team needs had the keys to the car. Now, would I have to lean on some guys to know which guys to sign? Sure, but Nate Davis was bad. We tried to spend money on it, and it did fail, and that's on the GM. And that's the thing. You claim to be all about character, but then you sign a guy who doesn't want to play and doesn't practice, and apparently that was the word about him in the first place, and that was why Mike Vrabel did not want him on the team, and they let him go in the first place. So it's just so you're about character, but then what's that about? And then, okay, you're about character, but where's the talent? It's just tough. The roster has almost no talent. Now, if that offensive line was good, that would make the running game better, which would then make the play action game better, which makes the passing game better, which less sacks, less third downs, less third and longs at least, that's for sure. Caleb is pretty good on third down a lot of the time too. Again, especially when it's a crucial one, if he's not being sacked. That just goes such a long way. Now the defense is horrendous. They're terrible. I think that's because Eberflus is legitimately a good defensive coordinator, and once he was gone, I mean that was just a mistake. Not a mistake, but I mean that was just an impossible task, for them to keep up any real hold on anybody. That was all like a house of cards. And, the Seattle game was just pathetic. What is there to say? But they played well there, and they played pretty well against the Packers overall. But just not a good unit. The secondary is good, but the linebackers, I mean, TJ Edwards is a great run defender. They're both complete liabilities in coverage. The D-line has nobody. Montez Sweat was a ghost all season. So that seems like a disaster trade and signing. Not going to push the panic button on that, though. He just had no help. So realistically, I think our first rounder should go to the D-line. We should, get a mid-level guy on the D-line in free agency. And the rest of the free agency money should be interior O-line, and then the second and third round should be more O-line, more D-line mixed. We got 3 picks in those 2 rounds. Well, I don't know. I just hope we hire somebody good. I just want Ben Johnson or Mike Vrabel. This has been the 2024 NFL season on edibles. I did all right. I don't know if I had any other rants. I don't think I did. I just really wanted to do the Drake May one. Jane Daniels is great. I can't believe Bo Nix is good. Yeah, see, first thing on ESPN right here, sources, Bears asked to talk to Cowboys Mike McCarthy. What? Why? That's such a bad idea. He is not going to win us a Super Bowl. I don't like that tubby guy. Please don't hire Mike McCarthy. I don't know. I just have no faith. No faith at all. I mean, I didn't think they were going to beat the Packers. They literally tried to give it away with the fumble, and then I thought the field goal was either blocked again or it looked like it maybe I was like, oh, it's going to curve out then. Something's going to happen. It's going to be short. Like, couldn't believe they actually made the kick. It did feel good. You know, I maybe let out some emotion watching all the guys celebrate. You know, they'd lost so many in a row. They'd all been so down and sad. And for Caleb to finally actually get a game-winning drive, even though, you know, he, as I said earlier, he put us in the position so many times. So, to actually get one, to get a win, first win against Green Bay, I get it, against the backups, whatever. That was awesome. But, a sad year overall. A very, very sad, tumultuous disaster of a season. On to the draft. We'll see. Am I going to Green Bay for it? Undecided. Good possibility, though. Good possibility. I don't know. Anyway, I'm going to get out of here. I'm really high on edibles, so I think now's the time. God, I just hope they don't fuck this up. Like that was they say there's no moral victories, but when you actually get the victory, this was like a moral victory plus a real, like the real victory had a moral victory on top of it. They just needed it. I needed it. In Lambeau, first road win in years, like, in theory, that should represent the, like, all right, like, we're fucking changing things up, but it's not. It's not yet. It's not yet until something good actually happens. If anything, it's just going to be used to project false hope amongst more poor decision making. So check back in with me in April. I'll obviously be talking about anything that happens before then, but in April, I'll probably be like, we're going to the playoffs no matter what. But probably not. Again, if they truly bungle this, I might just jump in the river. I don't know. Like, I really wish I could jump ship. It's just impossible. You can't undo love. Ain't no Command Z in my heart for Chicago B. Okay. Please rate, review, and subscribe to Requiem for a Tuesday. Check out all the links in the description below. Share the podcast. Leave us a little 5-star. If it bequeaths you. Write a little comment. Ha ha ha. Ha ha ha. Good show. Funny. What else? Merch, rfat.bigcartel.com. Haven't had an order in quite a while. Share the episode. Let's get these numbies up, baby. It's 2025, new year. I'm supposed to get on Rogan this year. So we have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people to go. So what is that thing where you, like, I was going to say, like, take a penny, leave a penny type thing? Pay it forward. I don't know if that's similar. Pay it forward with this show until we hit 1 billion. And then, I don't know. I'll do like a soup kitchen or something. I'll pay people back somehow. Rate, review, subscribe, share. And that's it. Check out all the links. Remember, I are fat. You are fat. We RFAT. Oh, sorry, one more thing before I depart. Den of Thieves 2 coming soon. Calculator.